Okay, let's get started with the video critique for shooting assignment number 2, the frame. And generally what I start doing is I take an overall look when I'm looking at your works for the video critiques, and I just see, just get a general idea of tonalities and just get an idea of what folks are looking at, and I get an impression of contrast control, whether it's flat or punchy, punchy meaning contrasty, whether flash was used, basic things that kind of yell out. I see that most of us are getting the the naming policy correct, but not all of us yet. Some of us are also sizing down pretty good, and it looks like most everybody has done that. 10 of you posted for this week's assignment, and I'm glad for that. It'd be nice to have everybody post. That way we can have more involvement. Be sure also to be aware of the fact that for shooting assignment number 3, our next shooting assignment, which is the background and foreground, I'm going to be looking more at, I'm going to be grading more strictly. I think everyone's gotten into the hang of it. If you haven't, please, please, please review the course materials and tutorials, the image submission format specifically. Also, I noticed on some of the comments, let me see, where are we? That some of you are still having, questions about what the assignment is all about. That is good. When you question it, that's good. And you work out and look at some of the samples, think about it, and then when you go out shooting, stop thinking and just start reacting. Start putting the camera up to your eyes. Great photo. Very, commendable. Very sharp. Also, we'll talk more about those. We're getting some good comments too. I love when you guys are substantiating your comments more fully. Remember, it's not just enough to say I like or I don't like and what have you. So when you're looking for materials, again, sometimes it's good to think, but then there's a time to just react and, put the thinking aside and, look through the viewfinder and oftentimes that I know this sounds a little harsh, but one of the best pieces of advice I ever got when I was studying photography was shut up and shoot. I know that sounds a little harsh, but I hope you understand the tenor in which I mean that. In other words, sometimes we think too much, and that stops us from engaging our creative approach. Okay, good comments. I really like when you guys introduce robustly. If you didn't know or if you're confused about things, go ahead and state that. Some of you are doing that, and that's very good. When your classmates are reading your approach, that's going to fill them in, and maybe they'll have some suggestions. Again, folks aren't going to be able to comment on things that they don't know about, so make us aware. Sarah, I realize that you were rushed in assignments. You still made a very good, you had a good shot, some good shoots. Watch your disable your flash, but be sure that you substantiate a little bit more on the introduction. I think you did a great job. Don't be too self-conscious, folks. This is our class, and the assignments are exercises to to flex our creative muscle, as it were. Very good, generally speaking. I think it was Cheyenne that was talking about getting a hard focus. We'll talk about that more. Focus is one of the more challenging things. One of the things that I'll just mention before I get into the nitty gritty of each of your work is there's several things that can affect the focus. Please review, I think it's chapter 9 on the, pressing the shutter button halfway. That when you hear some of the cameras, they give a little beep, or there's a green light inside the viewfinder that says, okay, focus has been achieved. So you want to get in the habit of depressing the shutter halfway. Give the camera a chance to get a focus if you're on automatic, or just if you can put it into manual focus. Some of you are still shooting with smartphones. Again, please don't make that the rule, more the exception. Several of the reasons for getting soft focus, can be slow shutter speed, camera movement. Etc. We'll get into the specifics shortly. But those are some of the things to think about. Again, when you're practicing your photography at the beginning, it's going to seem slow and it might be a little frustrating. That's part of it. That's the growing pains. Think about when you started learning how to drive. It was a little overwhelming at first. You had to think about the rear view mirror, the clutch if you had a standard, and just everything, putting it together. the accelerator, the brake, the clutch, the gear, this and that. And now you guys are, your confidence has changed. That's because you applied, you activated parts of your brain that said, okay, you need to be thinking about this intensely. That's the focus time where full attention is needed. So again, sometimes it seems a little frustrating when you start practicing your photography because it slows you down. You got to think about your framing, your shutter speed, aperture, your ISO, the combination of all those things. And if you feel frustrated, that's very typical. It's part of the growing pains of first you have to slow down, pay lots of attention, and as you practice more and more, that becomes an automatic process. I think you'll find that true as you continue your practices. Okay, let's look at the work here of Haley Beckler. And very nice work. You've named everything correctly, sized it perfectly. Let's see. Let's look at the 5 pieces by themselves. Very good, very powerful framing. I know you expressed some trepidation about, interpreting the subject matter, but it's very good. Your pictures are a little punchy. The flash may have gone off on the 5th one. Punchy meaning contrasty and a little heavy. That's okay. This is beautiful. The middle photo. I think that's a very strong, very artistic, it's got a feel to it. You were lucky here, or maybe you weren't. You were waiting for that. And you got, I don't know, what is it, rowers. Also, it's got a feel to it, the sun being blocked off there. You prevented, full scale, shooting right into the sun, which can, be hard on a photograph, but it provides a beautiful mood. Anyway, let's look at all of them, and, whoops, okay, whoop. There's that lovely sound. Okay, you're shooting a Nikon D3100, very good. Later on, I think it's going to be next Saturday that I'm going to offer a workshop for those of you who are interested in learning how to use Lightroom. That'll most likely be offered from 9 to noon. It's completely, it's not mandatory. It's, if you'd like to come, you're more than welcome. This is what I like to see is the metadata. So we'll be talking more about this as we look at each other's work. Okay, so I'm just going to go through all these. You've got slightly different frame sizes, but that's natural. Okay, all right, so good. Let's just go into the individual photos. I'm going to press that and L. So this is, again, it's I like it's a very sparse, kind of Spartan composition. Excuse me, and it's pretty contrasty. So you're blowing out here. Remember where I started talking about the histogram, and the histogram tells us tones. And when you see this right here, I don't know if you could see it right here, but this red line means that you're having image clipping, which means the tones are so blown out that there's no detail in them whatsoever. So be aware of that. When you're looking at the histogram, you want to have good blacks, good whites, generally speaking, but you don't want to clip out detail. That means that there's not going to be any detail to work with. When you don't have any data there, you're not going to be able to recover it. It's like in the darkroom when we shot with film. If you didn't expose it properly, there was nothing you can do. Not even a good printer could put detail in where there's no information. Anyway, let's look at the next picture. This is gorgeous. This is just a hit, in my opinion. Perfectly framed. You've got this, the circle. Whoops. Let's see. Just you included that. Very strong, very confident, good stuff. Really like this. Here the contrast works perfectly. The background is kind of busy, but it's not distracting because it's toned down. So excellent work. You're using Picasa, so I'm gathering that you're playing with the contrast. Good for you, and perhaps the vignette. Wonderful pictures. They've got a good mood. I like this one too. The vignette is a little heavy, and the photo might be arguably too dark, but that's a matter of opinion. Good moment. It's funny to see the 3 other ducks in the background. That you clip this out, it doesn't really disturb because here we have contact, and I think it's a really nice photo. Good moment. Remember, photography is just not about getting a good subject. It's about knowing when exactly to click the trigger, the shutter button. I think you did a great job. This one too. It looks like the flash did fire. If you could see that right here. Be sure to disable your flashes, folks. I know it's a little challenging, but that's part of learning, what's it going to take to make a good photo under the conditions. Flash can In this case, it actually worked pretty well. You may have got some contrast, some vignette going on here. It's a wonderful picture, no arguing that. You've got a little bit of a distractor here, but it's not so much a distractor because we have direct confrontation. I mean, not confrontation, but, the subject, the pooch, is looking right at us. So that, tends to um, distract remove the distractions that would otherwise be noticeable. If he was looking or she was looking to the side, then we'd start noticing these things. I don't know if that makes sense, but very good work, Haley. Kudos. Okay, before I get off on that, get off from your work, let me see if I can find where you are here and see your comments really quickly. Here we go. Okay, this is a difficult. I didn't complete that. Okay, like I said, that's not irregular. Um, Being slightly uncomfortable means that you're considering different perspectives. So it's not that I'm trying to, get you guys to be masochists. It's just that I want you guys to be aware, you all to be aware that you define it by your practice. And sometimes you'll agree more, and sometimes you'll agree less. But you're the photographer, so I give you clues, and I give you kind of like a scenario, of things to be thinking about, and then it's up to you to define them. Okay. Yep, I think that you were successful. This one is not as strong, I think, as number 2, that one, and this one is great. Number 4 and 5 were good. Just remember to disable your flash. All right, I know I sound like a little bit of a broken record, but we'll figure all this out. Okay, next we're getting to the work of Sarah Bone, and let me see. Let's get to Sarah's comment. Where were we? Yeah, Sarah was above. Okay. Had a difficult time with the assignment, rushed. Okay, do be sure to give yourselves time. Remember, I know a lot of us are very busy, but when you are concentrating and you're choosing to do photography, just do that. Eliminate all other distractions. Don't be thinking about the other homework or if you fed the cat or, that kind of stuff. Try to give it your full attention because then you can really concentrate and you can get the most out of your practice. Later on, you'll be able to remember that easier, and when you're looking at the photos on your desktop or on your, however you look at them, you'll be able to see what worked and what didn't based on your practice. Okay. Let's look at your metadata. And all right, we're shooting with a Nikon Coolpix. That's a point and shoot. Got the proper naming. Well, actually, we're on assignment 2, Sarah. So don't forget to note that. So for your next assignment, go ahead and just put 3. It won't confuse me for this one, but make sure that you get it right, please. Ooh, my goodness. All right, what I'm looking at here is really slow shutter speed, so be very careful about that. In photographic terms, a third of a second, a tenth of a second, an eighth of a second doesn't seem very much, but when it comes to photos, 130, okay, that's getting better. But when we're talking in photo time, that's a long time, so that's going to, tend towards you getting soft pictures, because that's a lot of, movement is possible, especially when you focus in on such a short shutter speed. I'm sorry, a long shutter speed. Okay, here your flash did fire. Be sure to be careful of that. I like the framing. It's a little askew, and that may help or that may distract. I don't know. What does distract me is the flash. She has very nice eyes, and I think that if you got the didn't have the distractor of the powerful flash in it, it would make the photo all the more powerful. Okay, in terms of looking at the photos and strictly in the sense of the frame, inevitably, folks, photos have a frame. That's part of having 4 corners, a rectangle. And I think that you're working with the idea strictly here. So when we're talking about an assignment specifically about a topic, in this case or theme, the frame, you want to make sure that nothing is distracting. That everything is there for a reason. This is a really good one because you've got a lot of empty space and it works. And here you're also alluding to the frame. Her expression is funny too. So this I think is a successful one. This one too, inevitably, I think you were trying to use the trees on either side as a framing device. But here you opened up a little space and that may be good, maybe not. This is a really nice one too, I think, the first picture, but it is a little light on the foreground. So, again, when you're photographing things, the first thing to do is think about the topic, the assignment, for our exercises specifically. But then you want to think about what kind of story do you want to tell. Again, 1/6 of a second, very, very slow. So be wary of that. All right. So let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about in terms of the the distraction in the forward element. It's a little light, and that she's wearing white shirt. It's going to be very helpful, and she's got light here. So if we just, for example, just did a little vignette, see how it's just going to make it pop right off the bat. It makes it, more dreamy. Again, be careful of using the vignette too strong. I happen to like vignettes, but if anytime you do something too much, it could be, you could run the risk of being gimmicky. So just be aware of that. Okay, so let's just look at the before and after. See how it just pops, and now it becomes kind of dreamy. We don't know what she's looking at, but there's a sense of, a narrative. Something's going on. Here you could see for yourselves whether this is actually working or not. Again, something to consider, Sarah. I think it's a lovely photo, however. Okay, let's move to the next picture. L. I don't think this one is so successful as this one, the first one, because it's a nice usage. Here, we're more concentrated on a literal definition of the frame. We got a little bit of the cropping out of the boots. Is that important? Yes, no, I don't know. Had you brought the frame a little further down so that you crop out the light area, crop out, I mean, not in post-production through software, but when you're actually taking the picture, and included a little bit more of the foreground, that may have been more balanced. Plus, you could have used this branch to help you close up the top left frame. Something to consider. Okay, this one out of focus naturally because of the slow shutter speed, 1/3. So be aware of that, Sarah. Pay close attention to your shutter speed. And you can learn what the program modes are. We're going to be learning more about this. They were already introduced in our previous readings, but learn what they do. For example, the portrait mode, it's going to look for wider aperture. In this case, it's 4.7. So that the depth of field is going to be narrower, and the depth of field means the range of focus. Sometimes when it's at wide depth of field, you're going to have, like in landscape modes, it's going to have just about everything in focus. When it's a very narrow depth of field, you're going to have just, for example, her hand might be in focus, but then her hair might be out of focus depending on the aperture. That's how you can control depth of field. This one, I don't know. The framing, I see what you're getting to. The allusion to being jailed, in nature, I don't know. But because we've got this little peeker in here, it's breaking the regularity of the framing that you meant. So remember, framing is just about reducing all the possible distractors. So all right. This one, I really like this one. The expression is fun. There's good energy. I like all this stuff back there. It's busy, but it's got great texture. And she's playing with the obvious literal allusion to the frame. Good picture. Again, this is probably the more successful one. 1/8 of a second is too slow. Again, that's why you've got soft focus. And let me see. Yeah, sized it down correctly. Okay, this one too, again, the flash did go off. So we're going to see, all these little things that are in the foreground are going to be brought to our attention because it is so bright, whereas obviously this is the subject matter. So good idea. Again, you've got a peeker here that's breaking, it's becoming anomalous, meaning it's breaking the pattern of assumption because it doesn't really add anything. If you wanted to be just about that, I'll try to show you what I mean by that. First of all, I'm just going to crop it a little bit. Oops, going to straighten it out. And you can do this in your camera by just rotating it a little bit. And here we're removing the distractions first of all, and then I'm going to give it a vignette. So try to remove some of the, well, that's way too much, obviously. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of the power of, how we can maximize the framing. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here and show you what this could possibly mean if the flash wasn't there. See, I'm just trying to reduce the flash effect. So there we go. Again, these are just tricks I'm showing you in software, so that you can consider the effect, see what I mean? Now it pops. Now it looks kind of, there's almost, I don't know, sinister feeling. Uh, and that's just my perspective. You don't have to agree with the effect, but or the perception of the effect. But look at it, certainly does have an effect. So blasting out with the focus, excuse me, the flash is a huge distractor in this case. All right. Okay, in general, very good pictures, Sarah. Good show. Keep on trucking. Let's now look at the work of Cheyenne. Cheyenne, I'm just going to look at your work really quickly. All size down. You've got vertical, horizontal. Good. You mentioned something, okay, about the focus, I believe. Let me see if I can get back here. Where were you? Nope, that's okay. It's further down. Okay, here we go. Different locations, good. All right, good, good, good. Okay, harder focus. So I see what you mean. All your pictures are soft. You guys should know about your diopters. Let me see. I'll go into your metadata and give you more specific. This is gorgeous, by the way. Fantastic framing. It's a little out of focus, but it doesn't matter because everything else is strong enough. The quality of the light, and the different tonality on the leaves, the organic aspect versus the rectangular, the square. It's very nice, very strong picture. Something happened here big time where they're both kind of out of focus, pretty good. Let's go into the metadata and take a look at that. But I can see that you're thinking about it here. I don't know, this is probably your loosest picture in framing considerations because of this, and there's a lot of things that are superfluous to the basic essence of what it looks like your photo is about. Again, you guys don't have to agree with me. Just consider some of these things that I say and your classmates say, so that you can concentrate on processing them, and if it makes sense, do something about it. If not, what have you. All right, here we do not have any metadata. Why not? Let me see. We don't have anything. Shucks. Okay, Sarah, let me know why. I'm sorry, Cheyenne. Sorry about that. Let me know. Get in touch with me if you would. I'd be very curious to know why this isn't showing up, why the metadata isn't showing up. I can't help you very much if I don't know anything about the camera that you're using, or why you've got the focus issues. See, if I zoom into it and I look for the metadata, there's nothing. Cheyenne, you did name them right, so nice going. I can see the framing here. You're thinking about it. That's good, but they're generally pretty flat. Also, flat meaning contrast. You see, you've got a little bit of white and a little bit of black, but most of it's going to be in the grays. So I mean, just see the effect it has when you boost the contrast a little bit. And this is just also going to be fine tuning. With your exposure. I don't know if you're shooting in monochrome or black and white mode. You generally want to avoid that. I mentioned this, that this is a possible way you can start shooting, but you want to get off that immediately because the process, the algorithm in your camera that determines how to interpret color and to desaturate the color is generally going to be the poorest way to convert to black and white. Again, I'm going to be offering a Lightroom workshop, not this coming well, not tomorrow, but next week, and I'll send you an email about that. Okay, I love this picture. It's very interesting. It's odd. I like the framing, but the focus is way too soft. Also, a little bit of vignette might help this because you've got some lightness here and some lightness here. See what I mean? Okay, I'm just bringing it in. So that brings our attention in. If this was in sharp focus, this would just be like, it'd start having a narrative. It'd have impact beyond just the aesthetic, but then into the conceptual, like, wow, what does this mean? It's like maybe a forensic photo. This card was found, so you know what I mean. I'm going off here, but by having good tones and good sharp focus, the viewer, whether they're educated in photo or photo snobs, will not be distracted and go straight into the essence of the photo rather than be distracted. Okay, this one again, super. This made your whole posting. This is gorgeous, lovely, lovely photo in every way. It's just beautiful. The quality of lights, the darkness, the different tones on the leaves, very nice. and it didn't go silhouette, so that's good. Here, I don't know if this is with a camera phone, I can't tell, but it's really, really grainy, basically meaning noisy. Um, so it's probably a high ISO, and it just looks fuzzy all over. I can see that you're thinking about the frame, so that's good. But what's distracting is that it's so soft focus and so noisy. Um, Okay, the next one, this one too, very soft focus, very high grain. This looks like it might be a camera phone. I don't know. Again, please let me know, Cheyenne, so that I can be more of assistance when when I'm looking at your work. Okay, let's go to Mary Cosgrove. Let's see what we have here. Mary, you went to a fair, the Heritage Fair, I believe it was, and let's see if I can find you really quick. There we go. So I like your introduction, very thorough, a lot of information. So when we read it, and folks, please do take time to read what your colleagues, your classmates say. This way you have a more fuller approach. The only thing about this one, I like everything that you've got going on here. There's a lot of stuff to look at. Obviously, directly related to the heritage, but it's slightly askew. So that could or could not be distracting, but just do consider about it. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying with the let's change the angle. Okay, long exposures. Okay, good. Okay, good framing, very concerted. Looks like you're thinking about it actively. Good. Here it looks like your flash went off. A lot of busyness going on. This is an interesting subject matter, but with so much going on, and perhaps your flash went off. I don't know. I'll look at that later. But being that this is darker, that helps remove the distraction from the subject. But then you're starting to lose detail, which is what we're meant to look at this contraption. But here it's lighter, so we can see all this stuff, so it becomes a distraction, in my opinion. Good photo, low light. It's going to mean long shutter speed, so it's going to be slightly out of focus. This is very busy, but you've got a good frame, you've got a good subject matter, so that works better. This is, again, too, here we can see that it's a slow shutter speed. We see the movement of the subject. Good angle. Also the drum stick. God, yeah, good, Robert. Marquis de Vaudeville. Good stuff. This is a little bright, so maybe if you move the camera a little bit or walked in a little closer, that would reduce it, but I don't know. Is that a distraction? That's for you to think about. So I'm going to look at your metadata here on the pictures as I cycle through them. So let's see. Okay, you've named all of them correctly. Good for you. Sized them well. You've got all horizontals. Don't forget about shooting some verticals or portrait mode. No big deal, but just variety is great. Okay, your flash did go off on here, so be sure that you turn that off, Mary. And okay, 1/25th of a second because the flash went off. See, because the flash went off, you're able to get a higher shutter speed. So that's more in focus than this one, which is 1/15th of a second when it didn't fire. That's why you have the motion. And this one too is going to be 1/30th of a second. 1/30th of a second obviously is faster than 1/15th of a second, but that's why we're starting to get this the motion here on the drummer's hands and the other fellow's hands. Okay, let's look specifically at the photos. Good stuff. Let me see. You're shooting with a Konica Minolta, shooting high ISO, which is necessary because it's low light. I don't know what program mode you're shooting in, and I'd like to see that. If your metadata doesn't consistently show up, then some of us are going to have to start posting the metadata ourselves, so that we could see, in other words, what ISO, what program mode you're shooting in. That way I can give you more relevant information. Good framing here. A little bit soft focus because we're at 1/10th of a second. You mentioned that. In that case, you just got to be clever and figure out. Here you could have boosted up the ISO a little bit more, which would have made it a little grainier, noisier, but it would have given you a faster shutter speed. You're all the way open, perhaps, at f4.0. I don't know the specific camera's maximum aperture, but that's one of the reasons why it's soft. Actually, it kind of adds to it, gives it that nostalgic je ne sais quoi. Here, the only things, what a pompous expression, je ne sais quoi. It just means I don't know what in French. Anyway, here you've got a little peaker coming in. That's a little distracting, a little soft focus. Very lovely. Here the duster is kind of cute, but maybe if it was down here, because then it becomes something that's not identifiable. It requires more attention of the viewer to figure out what it was, but maybe not. I don't know. So this is the only big distractor. It's a little askew and a little soft. Okay. Yeah, good, good. All right. This one, again, it's an interesting subject matter, but photographically it's a little distracting because the impact of the flash and the foreground light is going to make this imbalance with the background. Um, Whatever's lit is going to be information. Whatever's not is, going to be less distracting, perhaps. And what's in focus is going to be what we look at. Okay, good stuff. I like your variety. Very good. All right, so let's go on to the next, which is Mary Ellen Culbreth, and let's look at all the photos together. LL, just get a general impression. Okay, you got some good comments on this stuff. The Barry and on Blue. It's a good name. He does have a blue, but kudos to you for getting him at the SPCA. I like the cross. You've got some soft focus issues. Let me see okay, some other details about your work. Okay, you've got on Blue, your flash did go off. Be aware of that, Mary Ellen. And 1/10 of a second with a flash. Okay, so that's the flash. When you use a flash and you have a slow shutter speed, the slow shutter speed, what that does is it's going to give us more information on the background versus having a fast shutter speed with a flash. The slow shutter speed and the flash means that you're generally going to have a still. There's not going to be so much motion blur on foreground subject. All right, let me see your intro. Where are we? No, here we go. Okay, a very interesting experience. Good for you. Great fest. Excellent. Okay. Yay, the water droplets in the morning. Okay, good. Went out to investigate. That's the spirit. 20 shots of it. All right. If they didn't upload correctly, I apologize ahead. All right. Yeah, it takes practice, and we'll get it. Aren't real dramatic or awe-inspiring. Don't worry about that. I'm glad that you learned a lot playing with the settings. That's very good. I like hearing this, that you're in the photographic moment. That just basically means you're thinking actively. You're putting a lot of attention. You're attending to the moment as a photographer, which is vital, obviously, for learning photography. I like that you followed him around until the light was right. The only thing is that because he's in focus, we're able to see him. But see how this is a little more out of focus, so we're able to appreciate this a little bit more. But there's a lot of other things that we look at. So there's some distractions. I like where you're going with it, but there are It looks like the caterpillars have been having at the leaves here. Morning sprinkler finds. This is beautiful. Heavy vignette. I think it works really nicely here. A little bit of poetry here. This is a lovely picture. Good job, good job. This I think is by far the strongest one. This water here, the focus is relatively good, if not very good. And this one I like it too. We'll talk about this right now. Looking at your work. Okay, so your ISO is 100 on Blue. There's the butterfly, 1/25th of a second. Be careful of that. And 1/25th of a second. Good. Yeah, this is really nice. Good focus. Rebel T5i. Okay, good. That's a good camera. Make sure that you're learning how to press the focus button halfway so that you can get a good sharp focus, and then breathe out, and then click full. All right, this one's good too. I really like it. This one, I'm curious about this one. Let me see if we can get the information. Okay, f5.6. This is a relatively open aperture for your lens. It looks like an 1855, which is the kit lens, so that's good. Because you're relatively open on your aperture, in fact, you're all the way open at your aperture. See these numbers? This means that at 18 millimeters, when you're at the widest, your maximum aperture is 3.5. Let me see if I can get all this. There we go. When you're at 55, when you're zoomed in all the way to what this lens will allow, the maximum aperture is 5.6. So here you're at 55 and f5.6, so that's the maximum. This is why you have such a short or a narrow depth of field. This is relatively in focus, and that goes out. This is a good example of depth of field. Okay, it's a nice photo. I like that you added the vignette. It brings us more into this attention. This is just lovely. It's a little bit softer on the focus, but that can add sometimes. I think you really did a good job on this one. This is gorgeous. Okay, likewise, this one, I like the idea, but there's so many distractors here that it takes away from this great moment. All right. nice portrait, but watch your flash. Okay, good stuff. Let's go on to, okay, Latoya. Okay, let's look at Latoya's work, LL. LL is just the shortcut for turning the lights off. And let me see, where's Latoya's work? There we go, Latoya. Took a variety of photos. Good, good, good. Factory, not sitting. Okay, not having too much light. Okay, avoiding too much exposure to light. Okay, good. All right, good, good, good. All right, it's good that you're thinking about what would you like to do with the photos. So when you think about what you'd like to do with the photos, you start having a specific perspective on the feeling, because you said you want to put them up in your home. So, do you want to have action pictures, thoughtful pictures, sensual pictures, etc. So, in general, very nice work. This one didn't work as well because it's out of focus, and there's a lot of things here. Maybe a heavier vignette would have helped us focus in on here, but it's still soft focus, so that detracts a little bit. The first photo is a grand slam hit. Kudos to you. This is really nice. Let's look at them in. Okay, this is just gorgeous. Let me see if I can look at some of your metadata. Okay. Ooh, first thing I noticed is your naming. Make sure that you name them correctly. You've got them sized down, but make sure that you got the naming down. Consult the ISF image submission format, and if you still don't get it, let me know. Because yeah, you're going to lose points next week, Latoya. Don't lose them unnecessarily. Your work is good and you're putting time in, so that's good. I like that you're thinking actively about things, which is evident. But don't lose points on unnecessarily. All your pictures, let me see, it's 7:36 p.m., 6:57. 6:52. All right, so most of them are shot within, I don't know, 20 minutes. And then you've got this one, which was a little earlier. Be sure, I know you might think I'm a metadata peeper. That's part of my job. But give yourself, shoot more. You'll have more confidence. You'll feel much stronger about the work that you put in because you'll have more to choose from. You guys get in the habit of walking around with your cameras. I know it can be a little, frustrating and obnoxious to carry around all the time. But as photographers, you need cameras. This is just a grand slam. Excellent, excellent shot, Latoya. Big fan of that one. Here, the image is a little flat. See, this is a perfect A, which means no blacks, no whites. This is what I'm referring to here. And a lot of grays. Some of them are being clipped out. When they get outside of here, that means they're being clipped. So there's a lot of, just by adding some. It's a good moment. You've got a good framing, but they're a little soft on the focus, and being that they're so flat, it kind of detracts a little bit. So just playing with the contrast here. See if you can, see if you agree with me on the effect. Also, there's a lot of open space on the top. I'm not sure that adds anything. So one way to kind of simmer that down is giving it a little vignette. See if you agree with me, LL. See how this one pops more. This is before, this is after. Think about it. So you've got a good, instinct. Your photo radar is good, but you just want to make sure that you're treating the image as best as your creative vision saw it. So this means a little bit of post-production work. Let me see. Yep. 1/60th of a second, good. I don't know. Okay, you're using Picasa. It's got a vignette feature. Play with it. Play with the contrast control a little bit more too. See here, this just rocks in every way. This is a very powerful photo. This is something you could print large. And if you guys come to the workshop next Saturday, again, not tomorrow, I'll show you also how to print. I want you guys to print. That way, it's for free. It's not unlimited printing, of course, but then you can get a print out and then just go to Michael's or something like that and get yourself a nice frame. It feels really nice to put your work on your house or give it as a gift. Anyway, very nice framing here. I see what you're saying, where you're going. It's but something, I don't know, it's a little out of focus. It's a little harsh. That takes away a little bit of the power that this could potentially have. I don't know if you agree, but it's something to consider. A little bit of vignette also may give it a little bit Hansel and Gretel kind of in the woods feel. Maybe, maybe not. See what I mean? Before and after, just a little punch here. Something to consider. Okay, let me reset that. pop. Okay, and the last picture. This is nice. It's a little, again, it's a little bright here, and I would give it again a little bit more contrast, maybe, and a vignette. I know I'm vignette happy, but see what it does. L, boom, boom, just pops it in a little bit more. You still get this nice, subtle texture in the background. Okay, reset. G for grid view. Okay, overall, very nice work. Oop, I didn't talk about this one specifically. Okay, this one's a little soft on the focus. I don't know why. It could be because, remember, press your shutter halfway to give your camera a chance to focus in as much as possible. And then there's little distractions. Again, if you added a vignette, it's just going to help it out a lot because there's so many distractions, and you can go into, the center focus of this, which is, the circular form, et cetera, et cetera. It'd be nice if there was somebody there, but then, in addition to the fact that, well, there isn't. It might look like a voyeur picture, and which is neither here nor there. But it'd be an interesting because then you have a subject matter that's altogether different. If two people were here, having a cocktail or whatever or soda, talking to each other, that would automatically raise the interest of the photo. Otherwise, this becomes a still life study, which is still nice. But okay, so let's do a reset on that. All right, very good. Good going, Latoya. Let's go to Amanda LaRose. Amanda, you've been doing some really good stuff here. I think you're the first one to pose. So let's see, you're all the way up at to post, not pose. Very nice. A little tricky to me. That's great. All your pictures are fantastic, very strong. You're working a little bit strong with the contrast, perhaps, but I think it's working for you here. This is a little soft focus, but it doesn't matter because it's so powerful. Here you've got a nice, strong, sharp focus. Really well done. It's an interesting bird, too. I don't know what it is. I'm not a ornithologist or anything like that. Okay, you're content with your images. Good. I felt I could have done better. That's the feeling that you kind of always want to get. You want to feel content, but knowing that you can do better. That means that you still have that you still can do better, and that's the whole point of these things, these exercises. Nice presentation. I really like them. Let me look at your metadata here for a bit. Ooh, your flash went off on that one. It's such a great picture, but be aware of that. You're going to lose points on the technical aspect if you do that. But it's just hard to say anything about that because it's such a beautiful picture. Okay, naming is correct. Sizing is good. Don't forget until you shoot vertical. Let me see. I'm just going to cycle through here, looking at the metadata. I don't know what Rebel T3i, good camera. I don't know what program mode you're in. Let's see if EXIF will show me, which it may or may not. Yeah, there we go. Landscape. Landscape, basically, what that does is that it tries to shoot with a smaller aperture, so that see f8, so that more things are going to be in focus. So it tries to expand the depth of field. Jolly good. Okay, here's action, so that means it's going to have a faster shutter speed. So there we go, 1/500th of a second. I don't know if you guys can see that. Now we can see it. When you use an action program, exposure program, it's basically going to try to force the fastest shutter speed possible, which means it's going to rely on the widest aperture possible to allow for fast shutter speed. That's basically it. You guys will be learning more about that as we get into Chapter 6 and Chapter 8, Advanced Exposure and Program Modes. But very nice photo. I like it. This is a powerhouse. Great moments. Very popular. You got great comments on this. This is really nice because the frailty of the bird with the harshness of this very sharp concertina wire. Again, another one, just a knockout. You've got different. Look at that. You're playing with different metering modes. Pay attention what metering modes are, folks. You'll get different. You're shooting. Okay, they're all in pattern, which is fine. There's 3 different metering modes in your cameras. Generally, spot, pattern or evaluative, and average. And some of us, different cameras call it different things, but we'll get more into the details of that and how you can really use it. When we get to the assignment number 4, I think it is, lights and shadows, it's really about how you meter. Okay, so let me see one more thing. All right, good. Now let's just talk about them individually, just looking at them full force. Lovely picture, can't go wrong. It's a little soft focus, which is surprising because it's also with a flash, but just gorgeous. Love the texture. Beautiful. This one, I don't know. You've got some peakers in here. Peaker meaning you've got a spot here that's calling for attention. Had you brought the camera down a little bit more, let me see if I can show you. Take it into the develop mode, which is up here. If I crop this, again, when I do the cropping, it's just to show you, had you tried a different, how framing when you're, shooting, how you'd have gotten a different result. See that? Now you don't have the distraction up there, and you're using the natural light as a lead-in. So this is nice. Adding a little bit of a vignette. I know I'm vignette happy. Might also add to that. So let's see if that makes any sense. L. All right. See how it just closes it up? So I think that's nice. Okay, something to consider. Let me reset it. Get back to grid. So I press G, press enter, move to the right, press L to get the lights off. Nice scene. There's a lot of things going on, all backs of people. It's obviously about framing. I think you've got stronger ones. This one, for example, and this is pretty good. I could see that you're actively, trying, so that's good. This is just a powerhouse. You hit this one out of the park, so to speak. Very good. It's a little soft focus. If the birdie was sharp in focus, because here's where your main focus is. See how sharp this is here versus the bird. If it was right there, and sometimes that's why you want to force manual focus, then this would have just been a super duper knockout. This one too, look at how sharp this is. This is just great. I don't know what's going on there, but it looks like, well, whatever. But nice framing. There's a few distractors here, but this is so powerful, and unusual that it makes up for, it takes away from the impact of some of the possible distractors. All in all, excellent work, Amanda, and kudos. Keep on experimenting. All right, now we're looking at the work of Elena, I hope I said that right, McClanahan. And here you added a little little sepia tone. Be wary of that. It kind of looks nice, and it also brings in some of the clouds, but it also, becomes anomalous. Which one of these is not like the others? Well, obviously that one. I don't know if you guys remember from Sesame Street, which one of these is not like the other. Well, what that basically is what cognitive psychologists or scientists call asymmetrical pattern recognition. So here this breaks the pattern and of the symmetry that's otherwise created. So it becomes anomalous. It calls attention to itself. Good framing. You're all over Richland. Let me see. Let me see if I can locate your work here, Elena. Here we go. Let me see what your comments. Okay, be a little bit more substantive, please, Elena, so we can learn more about your what you're trying, what you're thinking about, successes, failures, frustrations, etc. Give us more than just a couple sentences, please. Okay, good. I like that they're all shot in Richland. This proves that you don't have to go to exotic lands to take exotic photos. It's all about how you're choosing to see. I like your studies. This is a good picture, and some folks seem to like it a lot. It's got a lot of, well, let me look at it in Lightroom. It's got a lot of open space on the top and the bottom. That doesn't really bother me because it's balanced on the top and the bottom. I like that there's framings within frames. I like that someone says, "Well, I'm not so sure that these are all about framing," and I'm glad to see that we all have different perspectives. We should respect these, and again, we don't have to agree with them. We have to just consider, do I agree? No. Why? And then move on. Okay, good. I like this. This is very nice. Had you not included this pillar, our eyes would have gone way off here because the brightness of this frame would are taken our attention off the frame. Good angles. I like that you're working with the angles of the frame. This is about geometry and about framing. Very nice stuff. I really like this. Okay, you're shooting in manual. Good for you. Again, a lot of these are pretty overexposed, but it kind of works because it brings out the linearity, the angles. So this is nicely framed. I like how you've got the lamp up here just perfectly framed. You didn't clip it. That would have been a distractor. That brings this down. Had this been clipped down to here, this would have been a huge way to escape. Again, it's a little bit dark. I'm sorry, dark, light. So a little bit more exposure would have helped. What does that mean? Let me see. If I just, darken the exposure, does this help? Obviously, this is way too dark, but you can see the effect. All this interesting information just gets lost. So you have to make decisions, which you did, and it's very clean and sharp. I think someone made that same comment. This one too. Here you're at the very widest. So G, enter. You're at the very. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, you're 1/15 of a second, so be careful with that. That's going to be dangerously close to getting soft focus. You're at 18 millimeters, so that's the widest your lens, so that's why you have barrel distortion. Barrel distortion refers to when you have a wide angle lens and you photograph something up close, it's going to start bending, like a barrel. Like a barrel has a, it's kind of convex at the edges. So it's not necessarily a distractor, but just be aware of it. If you'd walk back a little bit more, and then instead of being at 18 and being, ooh, that's a big lens. That's quite a range. Had you been at about 35, you would have had less barrel distortion. So it's just something to consider. But really nice. It's one of those gifts that this person happened to be right in the center. Um, oh, that's why it's not zooming in. This looks really nice that she's right, that person is right in the center. Just a little gift from the photo gods there that they cooperated with you. Okay, and that's the last picture. Let's look at them just really briefly. I want to look at the metadata specifically. Shooting at ISO 800, manual. Okay, whoops. All right, 800. They're all shot at 800. You could probably bring the ISO down, and you'll get less noisy or grainy images with a lower ISO. We'll be reading more about that, but I'm just mentioning this so that you're becoming aware. Woo, you've got a 4.5. Look at this. 4 1/3 stop exposure bias. Excuse me. Is that consistent? Yeah. So you've got it stuck on there. That's maybe why they're so overexposed. Be aware of that, because there you're forcing your camera meter to overexpose from what the light meter normally would do. That could explain why they're also overexposed. So look at that value. But otherwise, pretty good. I'm glad that you're shooting in manual. Be aware of that exposure bias that you have your camera on set on default. And great shots. Pretty good. I like this one too. It's a little busy, but I like it. This angle, as you can see, this is the brightest, so our eye tends to escape there. If I'm just going to show you, the effect of this. And here I'm cheating, and it's not going to look good, but just so that you get an idea of how we could prevent that edge from being so distracting. So again, I'm just going to go really ham-fisted on this, and there we go. See how it just kind of brings it in? This is a sloppy job, but just to give you an idea how distracting that open corner can be. Also, when you're shooting through glass, here's one of the unfortunates is that it's dirty, and so that just shows up. Either that or it's, I don't know, a bunch of little UFOs. Okay, all in all, very good job, Elena. Let's see, now we're looking at the work of Priscilla Presley, and right off the bat, let's see what Priscilla has to say about her work. Where are we? Okay. No. Nope. Where are we? Okay, here we go. All right, Priscilla, I like your introduction. You got a lot of information. That's good. That gives us a way to approach your work. Good. I like that it was challenging. Yeah, everyone can always be more creative, but practice, practice, practice. Don't be too hard on yourself. These are really nice. Okay, tell me why you're having trouble with the resizing the photos in Picasa, because it looks like you're getting it right. 600 by 800. 600 by 800. Yeah, they're all, well, except for this one. This one is 600 by 448. And this one's okay. So you got one wrong. But let me know if you have any problems and specifically why. So let's look at the metadata of these photos just briefly. Oh, another thing is please name your images correctly. You haven't named any of them. So Brazil, please don't lose images. Don't lose points on not getting the images named properly. Okay, I can't see your metadata. I don't know why. Please let me know. You're using Picasa, so I can't help you. If this is I can't tell if these are from your camera phone, but let me know so that I can be of assistance because you've got a couple problems with focus. This one is just way, I don't know why, but look at how, we lose all sorts of detail. This is just really funky. I don't know what's going on. We have to figure this out. Get in touch with me, please, Priscilla. I'm happy to help you. Um, but I don't know what this is. Maybe it's a bag, a coffee or tea bag in a cup with other things in there. I don't know. But being that it's out of focus, it's hard to tell. It's hard to get into it. This one is, boom, a hit. Here it says it's an iPhone. Make sure, again, this is a great picture, but you're going to have much more control with a digital SLR or a point and shoot than you do with iPhones. So please don't make it a habit. I'm not saying this just necessarily to you, Priscilla, but to everybody. Lovely, lovely picture, but try not to make it a rule. Make it an exception if you have to. But here I can see some of your your metadata. Why I can't see it here, I don't know. Okay, again, with your iPhone, great framing, very nice. A bit of an empty spot here, so that's the weakest part of it, but it's still nice. It's starting to get a little muddy here, so there's different techniques that you can do to maximize that. So yeah, I know. Hit the vignettes, lighten it up, and boost the contrast a little bit, and then top off the top. So see if you guys agree or not. Okay, I'm going a little heavy just so that it becomes evident the different changes. See what I mean? It just pops out more. It becomes like not a religious icon, but it just becomes like, I am a subject. I am the essence of this. Okay, something to consider. Again, don't be shooting all the time with your iPhone. You're not going to get the most out of your photographic education if you're just doing that. Here, let me see. Why cannot I? Oops. G, enter. iPhone. I don't know if you're photographing through. If this is a drive-by where you're in a car shooting while it's driving. I don't know. There seems to be some weird reflections. The sizing is off. Here's your GPS location information, which is interesting. But I don't know. This is give yourself more time to shoot, please, Priscilla. It's obvious that you have talent in framing, but don't rely on just your camera phone. That's not going to be sufficient. And here, way, way, way too dark. Again, your camera phone, way too dark. So it's an interesting subject. I like that, there's kind of a drama here. This looks like there's some detritus, a cigarette butt, and some other stuff. But it's so dark, it's going to be very hard for us to get into. I know, it's maybe just the time of the day. Sometimes come back at a different time when there's different lighting. I like the shadow there, though, if it was lighter. Again, if you're shooting with a DSLR or a point and shoot, you're going to have much more control over your manual settings, so you can override some of these things that are very inherently limited in camera phones, albeit smartphones. So it's nice to see, this is, a little bit of beauty amongst, roughness. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Please, again, Priscilla, get in touch with me. Let me know how I can help you. You've got two powerhouse images, number 2 and number 3, or, well, see, in this case, it's the second and the third. All right, let's go to Camellia. This is the last bit of work here. The flash went off a few times. Let me see if I can get to your comments. Oh, they were just up here. Yeah. Okay, this assignment was more challenging than the last one because I had to think more about the background. Okay, framed, negative. Okay, is a table for the white wall. Okay. All right. Well, we can see what you photographed, so we don't necessarily have to describe that. I would rather that you concentrate more on shooting a wider variety of things, disable your flash, and make it more challenging. Don't just capture framing. This one is the most interesting, I think, just because it's odd, but it's also when you're photographing just flat surfaces, it's hard to really put it's hard to make poetry out of that. It's more like a capture, a document of something. So let's look at okay, you've named them correctly, sized them correctly. You've got horizontals, you've got a vertical. Okay, good. All that's good. But now let's look at some of your metadata and the images specifically. Okay, one. What kind of? Okay, Nikon Coolpix. This is a point and shoot. And let me see if I can figure out more information about this. Okay, I'm looking at this. So I'm just going to cycle through the pictures. Okay, so you're basically shooting on automatic. Okay, your flash went off. Your flash went off on 1, 2, 3. 3 pictures. All right, and play around. Don't just shoot in the normal exposure pattern. Challenge yourself. Have fun with it. Don't just take, so don't just capture for the assignment. Make them interesting. Once you get interested, or fool yourself that you're interested, then you actually, it's called, I don't know, positive self-delusion, if you will. Let me see, I 9:15. Okay, they're all shot on the same day. Give yourself more time to shoot, because then you're going to have more uh, more photos to choose from. All of them are this one is the most. It stands strongest by itself. In my opinion, photographing against the wall is again documenting, so be careful of that. The flash went off, so that's very distracting. You'll start losing points. This one is out of focus, so I can see what you're going for, but because nothing is in focus, it's hard to be able to appreciate it. Same thing here. I can see what you're going for, but it's too soft focus. Again, folks, I hope that's not too rough on you. But here it looks like you're shooting for the assignment and just that. That's well, basically that means that you need to challenge yourself more. So carry your camera more with you. Think photographically. Be in the photographic moment. Pay attention when you are photographing. I know that we're all pretty busy, but when you are going to pick up your camera because your photo radar is going off, listen to it. Work the subject. What that means, work the subject, means react to what your photo instinct, your photo radar, tells you. And sometimes you just got to work it. You got to find it. You gotta bring it out. So okay, challenge yourself more, Chameleon, and I look forward to seeing more of the work. All right. So in general, let me see. I hope this made sense, and I hope that you guys don't think that I'm too rough. I'm happy to give you more comments. If you have any comments about my comments, please be sure to make them. Also, you know that I'm available. Get in touch with me, set up a time to meet, to call, or email me. All right, I hope this was helpful.